Do you have regrets? Oh, do you look back and go, man, if I had just done things different? Well, my next author says that's kind of a dangerous place to live. There's expansion for you. There's pathways that can open up new thinking. His name is Robert A. Wilson, and he wrote the book called My Wisdom Breathes. Welcome, Robert.
Well, thank you for having me, Suzanne. I'm really excited about this.
Well, just in the little bit that we've talked before the interview, you have some amazing information to share, and you're very humble about it. I would love for you to just kind of give us an overview of what the book is about.
The book is about liberation. It liberates you from your thinking memory mind and opens up your wisdom, innovation, and imagination to expand through life. And something you always want to be open to, imagination will lead you through life.
Wow.
And that's what this book is written for.
What is the danger of looking in the rearview mirror so much in life?
Well, you look in the rearview mirror, you stay a servant to your past, and the dire past controls today. When you let go of that and expand of, and the key word is expand, you expand out of that, quit trying to change your life and expand your life, you quit looking back.
Because there's not really a lot that we can do about the past anyway. It's really about moving forward. And is it about making better decisions or changing the way we think?
It's about letting your now let your now be your guru. I wrote a chapter in a new book called Guru Gumption. Your present moment has all the pathways to move you forward. Stop looking for answers. You make choices. You take a walk on a path. That way you're not attached to it. We think and know in attachment. Wisdom and understanding are detached panache to dance with your dreams.
Have you always had this philosophy, or did you go through a transformation yourself to come to this wisdom?
It took me 22 years to do this, but the last 5 years has been exponential. But the last year, I really understand I stopped being a servant to my past to be the facilitator and participant of my now. And you'll expand out of the past, and all the past hurts, all the past everything, you'll expand out of them now. So I expand out of this to expand of this. That sentence takes out the thinking memory, nitpicking mind that binds us yesterday.
It's easy to get hung up on the pain and the regret and the sorrow of the past. And it's almost like driving a car in a storm. You can't see forward because you're just looking at the past. And that seems unhealthy from what you're saying.
It is unhealthy. And then a lot of things, people get down on themselves for what other people said about them. The thing about ridicule, and I wrote this in that book, ridicule is a praise to the person that's being ridiculed. The ridiculer is afraid of what the other person understands, and they're afraid of how that person will turn away and get away from them. And that's what ridicule does. So when somebody gives you some ridicule, thank them because they're jealous.
Wow, that's powerful. I mean, everything you speak about is so empowering and positive. As a matter of fact, in going through your book, you don't have words like can't, should, anything like that.
No, this book is written to move you forward. And I use a lot of hellraiser, daredevilry, and rebellious because you're rebelling against your habits. You're being rebellious to expand out of your normal societized brain and societized mind. So you want to unsocietize the brain, unsocietize the mind to intertwine your divine. That's your dreamers, innovative, visionary imagination now expanding through life.
You talk a lot about imagination. That seems to be like a core foundational word throughout your book. Why is that so important?
Imagination has no memory. And you can't get way out there, but you can imagine the outcome you want. And once you start imagining that, and in the last chapter of this book, it's called nowography. You write and speak to a nowography because you only want to write, speak, and talk about where you're going. And you start doing that and your desired outcome, you stop thinking and being in the past.
Wow. Robert, I can't help but think how many of us have been influenced by the people who raised us, whether that's parents or aunts or grandparents, or, if we were in a foster system. I mean, I think that people are doing the best that they can, but that's got a grip on our character and what we learned. How do we move forward from some of those painful experiences and undo what we've been taught?
Well, there's some in the book, and see, we let that be excuses to not to be moved forward because of my childhood. This my
Sure.
childhood that you puke in excuses and write an excuse encyclopedia and never go anywhere. Them events were not there for you to be controlled by. Them events were there to expand you. And every word your parents said or anybody said to you in your life, your subconscious and unconscious mind has recorded that. And them frozen in time representations in the chronicle mind. I use the word chronicle because they're ingrained. And all
Mm.
you got to do is address them to yourself and then confess them. But you want to express them to the world to bless the world with new wisdom because everybody's challenges in life is wisdom to expand the world. And that's the thing. We're not all teachers, but we're all teachers, but we're also gurus to expand other people because our life events expand other people, and that's the thing. And we're
Mm.
trying to hide that stuff from them, so we hide and chiding ourselves and thinking we're not good enough when we're better than we should. And then we believe what the teacher said. This is something that I was guilty of. You know, if you weren't the smartest one in the class and the most well behaved, they compared you. Well, then they did it in front of the class to embarrass you, and that's ingrained, and people just started withdrawing. And that's the only thing is that's what they understood at your childhood. It's about understanding every event in your life was for you to expand you of a new way to a new pathway of triumph.
So that shame that the teacher used as a weapon, in the long run, if you look at it differently, can be used to bless the world and share your experience for good.
Yes,
Wow.
our hidden. We're all teachers, but it's really we're not teachers. We're kind of maestros. We're maestros of our own life, but we're also them events are to show the world a better way. And you quit telling your story about, oh, this happened to me, and like that. You start saying, this is the event that expanded me to venture over to here. See the difference in the language and how you
Definitely.
disconnect that?
Yeah, not being sad or angry or harboring unforgiveness. You're saying to appreciate those difficult times because it helped you expand.
Yeah, like heartbreak, that's disappreciation. That's that's being that's thinking something happened. But when you can turn around and turn that into appreciation, you start getting the value of the situation and you extract the wisdom out of there. You move yourself forward, and by appreciation, you forgive the other person in a higher
Hmm.
way, and you
It,
disconnect from them.
I keep the thing that keeps coming back to me is that you get unstuck with this kind of attitude.
It's called sovereign. It's called simple liberation. Stop thinking about what happened and start experiencing where you're going in life.
Robert, you know what else is interesting to me is that you don't talk about having answers. You talk about pathways. Would you share more about that?
There is no answers. There's temporary advancement, but as soon as you get all comfortable with that, I call it the mischievous universe and my spirit. They're going to throw something at me. They're going to give me a curveball, and
Yeah.
they're going to see whether I hit the curveball, fall prey to it, or strike out. And if I stand in there, in every situation, it's the first initial blast is where we get caught up in the situation. But if you take time, step back and query that, the wisdom to expand you is in the center. It's like a Tootsie Pop. The chewy good part is in the center. And that's wisdom. And you let go of thinking, knowing, and memories and go to wisdom, innovation, and omnificence is the most powerful creation there is, and imagination. And all that does is disconnect the thinking, memory, nitpicking mind out of your life. And that's something else. The word I took out of my life is mind. Because as soon as you say mind, you go into memory. Start saying, my inspirations are telling me to do this. Use the word
Oh, wow.
inspiration over mind. Disconnect yesterday. Because you're going to think you know your way all the way to yesterday. Wisdom and understanding and innovation is going to stroll you onto your paradises of prosperity.
Your message is so different from like 95% of the other, improve yourself kind of books. I mean, they spend a lot of time talking about forgiveness and burning letters that you write to them. And now that I hear what you're saying, they're asking you to revisit and plant yourself in the past, and your message is completely different.
If you walk and you talking right where you're going, that past event will come up and you will have the wherewithal and the gut gumption to walk through it. It's about having an inner rebellion and saying the hell with the past, because your past is never going to be your dreams. And in that book I write in first person, unpunctuated. That way I stop telling people what to do and let them show themselves their way to the promised land, and it disconnects them having to think. See, we think and know our way all the way to yesterday. That's the biggest thing I can say. But
Oh, wow.
wisdom will walk you through the life, because there's wisdom in there, and wisdom is just, it's unique. It's a curiosity, a clairvoyance, yet with a trend-setting tenacity to move forward. And I use a lot of trailblazer, trend-setting, trailbreaker, movie maker, because I want people to feel the book. Then they can expand, because when you think, you never feel. And it's about discharging the painful emotions, hurt feelings, and really it's stop what your parents said to you and be open to being the entrepreneur you are.
What a positive message. Robert, I know we've got to start wrapping up here, but you are represented by Agar Wood, and we'd love to know how people can get a hold of your book and maybe get a hold of you if they've got questions.
It's mycowboywisdom.com is my website, and you can get a hold of me there. My email is robert@mycowboywisdom.com, but the book's also available at mywisdombreeze.com.
Robert, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, just the highlight of my day. What a refreshing look at moving forward in life. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It was my honor and privilege to be here.
Have a great day, Robert.
You too.